Today we'll tell a story about contract law. As is well known, contract law governs agreements that are legally binding between parties. In order for a valid contract to exist, there must be an offer, an acceptance, and an intention to create legal relations. Today we will present a dispute under the Contract Act 1950 arising from a Durand Orchard rental agreement. The legal issues in this case are whether a valid contract can still be formed after a counteroffer has terminated the original offer, and whether a contract may be created through conduct. We will now present how this dispute unfolds.
Sarah, since we are all friends, the rent for this orchard is 20,000 ringgit a year. So sign it if you want it, and this is my final offer.
That in the market is not growing now. How about 15,000 ringgit? You know, fertilizers are expensive these days.
You think about it, and I'm leaving. Others are waiting for this land. Sarah, that is a very stubborn person. You need to hurry. Her offer don't wait for anyone.
Oh no, that isn't repaying. I will just rent it at the original price. If I miss this heavens, it's all over.
Sarah, Datin just told me she's going to lease the orchard to Max next door.
No way. I just transferred the full deposit of 20,000 to his account. I also messaged him saying I accept the original price of 20,000.
But that was after you bargained. Datin said she's under no obligation to wait for you.
Order. This court is in session for Sarah versus Datin Lee regarding a breach of contract. Please state the issues.
My lord, the issue here is whether Sarah's transfer and subsequent message constitute a valid acceptance. Despite the prior counteroffer, did the defendant's subsequent conduct imply a new contract?
Objection. Under Section 7A Contracts Act 1950, acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. Sarah's 50,000 ringgit proposal was a counteroffer. Legally, a counteroffer kills the original offer. Referring to height versus range, the original offer ceased to exist.
Well, there was a counteroffer. Dating did not refund the 20,000 ringgit upon receipt. He even instructed the agent to give Sarah the gate code. Per Section 8, performance of the conditions or acceptance of consideration constitute the acceptance. This is classic acceptance by conduct.
I can testify that Datin said, since the money is received, so give her the code first. So she never bothered me.
That was just temporary. Datin hasn't signed anything. For commercial practice, this is subject to contract. Without a formal document, there is no binding legal effect.
The court has reached a decision. I will analyze this based on the ILAC framework. Issue. The core issue is whether Datin's act of accepting the deposit and providing the code established a new employed contract, even though the original offer was terminated by Sarah's counteroffer and the signed written agreement was absent. According to Section 7 Contract Act 1950, acceptance must be absolute. However, Section 8 states that performance of conditions or acceptance of consideration is acceptance. Furthermore, Section 9 specifies that if a promise is made other than in words, it is implied. When Datin Lee offered the lease at 20,000 ringgit, Sarah's inquiry for 15,000 ringgit was not an absolute acceptance under Section 7. This constituted a counteroffer. While Sarah's counteroffer killed the original offer, her subsequent payment of 20,000 ringgit constituted a new offer, that in retention of the funds and his behavior to provide the code constitutes acceptance by conduct under Section 8 and 9. Therefore, the court finds a valid contract exists. The defendant, Datin Lee, must fulfill the lease agreement.
In conclusion, this case demonstrates that a counteroffer will terminate the original offer as established in contract law principles. However, it also shows that a contract may still be formed through conduct under Section 8 of the Contract Act 1950, where acceptance can be implied from actions such as payment and granting access. This means that, in practice, acceptance may be expressed through both words and conduct. However, conduct often provides a stronger evidence of parties' intention. Once a party accepts consideration and proceeds with the performance, a binding contract may already be formed under the Malaysian law. Therefore, from this case, we can understand that in commercial transaction, even a simple negotiation may rise to complex legal consequences. This concludes our presentation. Thank you for listening.